taking a look at a pretty cool watch from Orient. This one is the Bambino, and I understand that I am very late to the party on the Bambino train, but it's better late than never. Just wanted to share my thoughts on this watch. Before we get into it, let's do a quick wristwatch check. I'm rocking my Seiko Captain Willard. Fantastic watch, but it's watches like this that made me get into watches like this, and so let me explain. I realized one day while looking at my glorious collection that I had so many divers. That was pretty much 100% of my collection, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I got to a point in my collection where I wanted to get something without a rotating bezel, maybe something more dressy, if that's what you want to call it. Not specifically to go and do dressy things, but just to have a dressier style. So I started my journey and I, looked through all the different stores like Lumeshot and Amazon, and I was looking at Omegas and Tudors and, all of those luxury companies or high-end companies. They all have beautiful watches, but, for a watch or for a style of watch that I wasn't too interested in, I was only semi-interested in dress watches. I did not want to fork over several thousands of dollars. And just by lucky chance, I stumbled across a Orient. I think it was on Amazon. And I was like, this one looks really good. It's clean, it's simple, it's at a decent price. Why the hell not? Let's check it out. So here I have it in front of you guys, and I've had it for a little bit, and I think it's been great so far. So let's get right into the review. Starting off with price, you can find this well under $200. I myself paid $165 out the door, and you may or may not get the same price. I think these fluctuate between $160 and $190. It just sort of depends on the day of the week and the store that you're ordering from. Now let's take a look at those dimensions. I'll have those on the screen for you. Feel free to check out those numbers and see how they work for you. How they work for me is fantastic. I think the case diameter is great. It's not too large, not too small. Great for both large and small wristed people. And then the case thickness, which is something I really prioritize, is beautifully thin. Any watch that is under 12 millimeters of thickness, I think is beautiful. I've said this before on my boy Trap Vision's channel, and I'll say it again. Watches under 12 millimeters thick make the world go round. I think it's just the fact that you're having like this moving machine all fit inside such a slender case. It's really cool, it's a beautiful thing. And with those dimensions, the wrist wearing experience is great. I've got no complaints there. It's just a really comfortable watch. Now let's talk about some general information or features of the watch. The case is going to be stainless steel. The crystal is mineral crystal, so whether that's a negative or not is up to you. I would have preferred sapphire, of course. I'm just letting you know it is a mineral crystal. Underneath there, we've got applied indices, and unfortunately there is no lume. Again, is that a negative? I don't know. It's a dress watch, so maybe lume is not really necessary here. They are very reflective, so that does help mitigate the lack of lume in low light situations. On the right hand side, we've got a push-pull crown that you can use to wind the automatic movement. And then underneath, we've got a screw-down caseback, which we'll look into a little bit later in the review. As far as the internals go, all of this is powered by an in-house Orient movement with a crazy naming convention I can't even remember. I'll have it on the screen for you. And I think the Orient in-house movement is something that really makes these Orient watches shine, because for under $200, you are able to experience a watch that has an in-house movement. Now, whether or not that movement is superior is probably not the case, but it's just cool to say that you've got a watch with an in-house movement if that is something that matters to you. And all of this is going to give you a water resistance of around 30 meters. So for a dressier watch, I think that's perfectly acceptable. And then a power reserve of around 40 hours. Now, usually at this point of the review, I jump straight into the Lumeshot. However, because there is no lume, I'm just going to show you what it looks like in a darker room, and you can see how those indices play with low levels of light. Like I said before, personally, lume is not an important feature on a dress watch for me, so it is acceptable, but for you, that's just something you have to determine on your own. Now taking a look at the dial, I think the dial is beautiful. There's really not much to screw up here. They kept it simple, clean, and classy. You've got the Orient logo right there underneath the 12 o'clock, and I love that. And then you've also got a date window next to the 3 o'clock. Some of you are not going to like that. Personally, I don't think it gets in the way, and I think it pairs well with the overall style. The actual dial itself is not necessarily sunburst, but there is a little bit of, I don't know what it is. There's some light play. Hopefully you can see it in the footage I'm showing you, and maybe it's just an optical illusion from the box crystal. Either way, it looks nice when it's on the wrist, and different angles of light hit it. It just looks good. As far as the hands go, I love how the minute hand goes all the way almost to the chapter ring, making it very easy to see exactly what time it is. And long story short, I am pleased with the dial. And now moving on to the right hand side, let's take a look at that crown. So it is a push-pull crown, not a screw down, and I'm okay with that. For the purpose of this watch, I don't think a screw down crown is necessary. It feels great to operate. The movement itself might be a little, not gritty, but not as refined as more expensive watches, but I've got no complaints there. And then pulling it out is as easy as pulling it out. It's not wobbly, it doesn't feel flimsy at all. And pushing it back in is also an easy affair. It is signed with the Orient logo. Nothing crazy, I think it's just a laser engraving, but it is there, so it gives the watch a little bit more character. And then going straight into the case back. The case back, I think, is not necessarily a weakness, but it left me unimpressed. It's just a standard case back, and this is where I think Orient has room to improve. They're definitely not on the same level as Seiko Prospex case backs, but under $200, I guess that's acceptable. I don't know, that's up to you. And then let's put this watch off to the side real quick and take a look at the strap that it comes with. As you can see, I removed it immediately. It still has the tag on it. And that's just because I'm not a fan of leather. It's just not my thing. But to that end, this is what it looks like. It doesn't feel like super high quality, but it works. I think a game changer would be if you ordered an aftermarket clasp for the leather strap. It would just make it super easy to put on and keep it comfortable. There's just something about leather straps. I think when you pair it with like wrist sweat and all that stuff, that just sounds nasty to me. So it's this mental block I have against leather straps. But I'm just showing it off to you. This is what you are getting. So it's genuine leather. So that is like one tier above the lowest quality of leather you can get. But to that end, it still works. It's going to do what it needs to do. And there you go. Personally, I think putting it on a NATO strap just works. It looks super cool. And even though this is a dressier watch, I think this makes a great military style field watch even. Now moving on to the finishing, we have mostly a brushed finish, and if you watch the channel, you know that's something I absolutely love. I really like how they limited the high mirror polish to the beveled edges. I think that accentuates the brushed finish, and then also, it doesn't make it look too blingy, it still looks classy, and I think it is fitting with the overall style of this watch. I am not complaining at all about the finishing here. And then moving on to my overall thoughts. My overall thoughts are positive. The only weaknesses that I think I could find here are the mineral crystal and then the, pretty plain looking case back. But again, those are not objective negative qualities. That's just my preference overall for the price that you're paying. And even, with disregard to the price, just standalone as a watch, it's a great watch. It's classy, it's simple. I think if you're not looking for anything crazy and you're just needing a good looking watch, then this is a great choice. I don't know why I waited so long to experience a Bambino, but I think I'm pretty late to Orient watches in general. And in my experience with Orient watches, I've realized that they really are Seiko's underestimated cousin. I find myself getting so wrapped up in the Seiko catalog, and then when I finally get around to getting an Orient, I'm realizing oh my goodness, Orients are badass. They're really great watches, and for such a great value.
I'm just gonna say it. This guy fucks. Am I right? Because I'm looking at the rest of you guys, and this is the guy in the house doing all the fucking. Am I right? You know I'm right.
And at that value, you're getting something that has its own design language, its own style, and its own charisma and charm. And so if this is something that you like, you're definitely gonna find value there. That's all I gotta say. Hopefully I could help you with my little short watch review and opinions. Thank you so much for sticking around this long. If you can, please go ahead and like and subscribe, comment, let me know your thoughts, and I always appreciate your presence here. So other than that, that's all I gotta say, and I'll catch you guys in the next review. Bye.